Welcome to the Your Fitness Chick podcast. Become your best self. I'm your host, Abby Smiley Krause. I am a personal trainer, a wellness enthusiast, and I'm not gonna lie, a certified dog-obsessed human. This isn't just another fitness podcast. It's your wake-up call to level up your life. In this podcast, I'll be diving into everything from crushing your workouts to shifting your mindset, because being your best self isn't just about lifting weights, it's about lifting your life. Whether you're here to get fit, find inspiration, or just stop settling for an average life, you're in the right place. We're talking about tapping into your full potential, expanding your horizons, and building a life so good, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. So let's lace up, show up, and start making things happen. This isn't just a podcast. It's your permission slip to dream big, work hard, and create the life you've always wanted. Join me here every Tuesday for a fresh episode. Welcome to the Your Fitness Chick podcast. I'm Abby, your fitness chick. And I have an awesome guest today, Miss Cheryl Keener, who is a certified nutrition coach as well as a personal trainer. And the reason why I am so excited to have Cheryl on the show today is lots of reasons, but I think that she's going to speak to a huge portion of the audience that listens to the Your Fitness Chick podcast for people who are having challenges with weight loss and when they can't walk the straight line. And what I mean by that is that there's challenges and obstacles in the way, such as menopause, such as allergies, hormone balance, gut health. And these are all things that Cheryl actually specializes in her training program. So I'm sure she's going to be able to shed light on some of that for us. So before I introduce her and officially give her the mic, I wanted to share a quote that she sent to me when I asked her to send me her background, and I really liked it a lot. It says, "Strength knows no age. Every day is an opportunity to become a stronger, healthier version of yourself." I love that. And with that being said, welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you very much. So just a little background. I am 52 years old. I am someone that believes that age is just a number. I do compete at a CrossFit level. I am a master athlete. I'm not at the elite level, but I do the local competitions. And I fare, very well. But, I believe that everybody can get to where they want to go, as far as being an older woman, going through menopause, going through gut health, going through food allergies, which is not very known. I actually do a specialty. I more specialize in food allergies, considering I am an athlete and I am allergic to potatoes and rice. And I know that's hard to believe, but there's just food swaps that I do. I do wild rice, and then I do, for potatoes, I do a darker shade potato, but and people don't realize it's easy just to go through and change what you're eating because, back in the day, and as you want to get your body where it is, we talk about meal prepping and we talk about eating the same things. Well, sometimes as you get older, your body can't handle eating the same thing every day. So I broke it down. And the reason I went into coaching was because when this happened, I didn't know there wasn't a lot of things out there about food allergies. There was about gut health, hormone balance, and menopause, but there wasn't about food allergies. So I've been doing this for about the last 5 years, and I do test allergies every year, and I'm waiting for my test to come back.
Oh, wow.
So it's just knowing what your body's doing and how to heal your body from where you are.
Awesome. Yeah, you got to listen to your body, and it definitely changes as you get older. I'm right behind you. I'm almost 50. So I can tell you that when I get up out of bed in the morning, I'm shuffling my feet. I'm like, I live in an apartment on the second floor, and the first floor people are probably like, what the hell is she doing? I'm like, I'm just trying to get to pee because my joints
Yeah,
are so bad, So
I
definitely
am on.
changes.
I live on the third floor, and I'm like, I slide out of bed, and I'm like, because I'm it's with drinking water, staying hydrated, and with getting older, you're up, maybe one or two more times than the
There's like
normal, and right. And so, but going into all that and you have those issues, there's a lot of common ground. So there's a lot of things that I post. And when I notice that when I'm posting, which I'm hoping everybody else notices as well, there's a lot of common grounds where when you do fat loss and you do weight loss and you want to build muscle, there's a lot of common grounds in there where you want to stay hydrated. You want to eat what your body needs, right? And a lot of times it's nourishing foods. Do you have to cut everything out? Absolutely not. And um, I think that's part of why people are just like they get uncomfortable and they think it's overwhelming to start a program because they think they're going to have to cut everything out. But if you
right.
take notice, you've got, as I said, you want to make sure you're hydrated, right? You want to make sure you're nourishing your body. You want to get quality sleep. You want to make sure you're getting in that movement, and you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself on an everyday basis. And sometimes that's just a routine that you build and habits that you build.
100% it becomes a lifestyle. So let's just stop for a second, Cheryl. I want to rewind. So you've been involved with the fitness industry for 13 years. Is that right? Is that when you
It's been
kind of
about
launched?
it's been about it's been about 20 years. I've been actually in CrossFit for the last 13 years, but I've
Okay.
been in the industry for about 20 years now, yes.
And what was it in your life that drew you to the fitness industry? What made you decide that you wanted to jump into it?
Is it growing up? I was athletic. I swam on a swim team for about 7.5 years. I twirled baton. I did a dance team. I played baseball. I mean, so it was always in my background. And in 2006, I just something had just changed, and I wanted to become that healthier version of myself. I wanted to get back into training. I started working out a little bit because I had my kids and I got a little heavier, and I'm like, I didn't want to carry it around anymore. What can I do? So I started down the path of getting back into fitness. In 2006, I joined 24-hour fitness and I did the group classes, and then I became a turbo kickboxing instructor, and then and then I had a personal trainer there that I saw, and actually I took a break for a little bit, and then her and her husband opened a CrossFit gym. Well, my mom passed away about 13 years ago, and that next day my sister and I did a CrossFit workout in SoCal, and I was like totally hooked. I was like, oh my God, this is good. And then her and her husband opened up a CrossFit gym, and that's what started my CrossFit. That's what started my CrossFit days.
Wow, awesome. It's kind of like
So yeah,
once the bug bites you, it's just like it really does do a domino effect. It just really leads you
yeah,
to other things till you find what is your vibe within the industry. So,
exactly.
with working out, what kind of workouts do you enjoy the most? I mean, a CrossFit, I've never been into CrossFit. That's not my jam. I think it's amazing. I love and admire the people who do it. So, like on a typical week, I know you had mentioned you're preparing for a CrossFit competition in about 6 weeks.
Correct.
So, what do your workouts look like? Like, how many days a week are you doing? How many cardio
I
sessions do you do?
I train 5 days a week. We do metcons. We do a lot of skills put together. My favorite workouts are barbell heavy. I love a heavy barbell. Um, I'm in between, and I love to lift. So anything that has a heavier barbell, um, gymnastics is a huge weakness of mine. So I work on the gymnastics. But anything that has a barbell in it, anything that has lower volume gymnastics is what I like. As far as my endurance, they program endurance about once or twice a week. But I train 5 days a week. I do extra accessory 3 of those days, and then Fridays and Saturdays are my longer days. And my rest days are Thursdays and Sundays, which is where I usually go for a swim or I'll go for a walk just to keep the body moving. But I just started putting a stretch series in there too. And I just gotta tell you, the older you get, you need that stretch in there. But yeah,
Well,
and
I've
I
got
love it. It's the after feeling. And it's like when I work out, a lot of times, so I go to class in the morning. I'm a morning, and I work out in the morning. And usually it's a strength portion, and then we do a workout. So that's the whole hour. And then, as I say, I do accessory after that. Um, but it's like a workout, depending on what it is, can take anywhere literally from 2 to 10 minutes. If it's an AMRAP, it could be 12 minutes. So we're not going the whole hour, and it's broken down like that. So,
well, I
and
have
it's
to
for
say,
everybody.
yeah, you know what? I have to say, I was in total admiration of you. I'm gonna put your
Thank you.
social media handles on the podcast notes so everybody can go in and follow you. You're a badass. I was watching some of your videos and I was like, oh my God, she's like freaking Hercules.
And the reason that I started to post being an athlete is because um, like I said, I love to compete. I am not at the elite level. There are still some skills I don't have, like muscle ups are huge. I don't have those. Double unders are a huge staple. They come and go, and I'm one that, we talk about mindset. It's, well, there's double unders. What are you going to do? And it's in my training pieces, even though it's the class workout, they are programmed differently for me to what I can handle in capacity as being the athlete that I am. But being 52 years old, I'm lifting the same weights as a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old because the weights and all that don't change until you hit 55 in the in the sport. So I'm carrying those heavy weights, and I'm just one that the heavier weight, the better, because I'm a strength athlete versus an endurance athlete.
And I just want to brag on you for a second so people really understand what I mean when I say you're a badass because you are super strong. And you were doing, I don't know if it was deadlifts or was it clean and jerks? I'm trying to remember what I saw you doing. But like, what's some of the weights that you do? Let's brag on yourself for a second because I want people to really understand you're 52, and a lot of people, especially women, as they get older, they think, oh my gosh, I could never do that. I'm too old or whatever. But you're doing it, and you're doing it very well. And like you said, in comparison to even people who are 20, you're probably lifting more than they are. So just give us some numbers out there so people can truly understand how much I'm bragging and how strong you are.
Okay, so my favorite lift, if you don't know, is the deadlift. My max deadlift is currently sitting at 305. I love to lift a heavy deadlift. That's my strongest lift that I do have.
Phenomenal.
My clean and jerk, I'm sitting at 160. My back squat, I'm at 205. However, the thing about that is I've been working so much on those that strength numbers have been set to push this year. And since I'm where I'm at, my technique has changed so much. I actually, getting older and doing the sport as long as you have PRs come far and few between. And I actually PR'd some of those lifts. So, but I do have higher numbers that I want. So, it's just this year I actually qualified for the quarterfinals after the Open, and I've never qualified before. And one of the workouts was a clean and jerk, and it had increasing reps, and I actually hit my one rep 5 times in like less than 2 minutes. And I'm like looking at my coach, I'm like, I know I'm stronger. So it's finding the time, right? Because when I go in, we talk about that mindset, right? I go in and I lift till I can't lift anymore. I know what I need to lift to get to where I want to be, but I don't look at it as testing. I just look at it as, hey, I'm going to lift. I'm either going to get it or I'm not. And I just started pushing to failure because I would only lift to where I know I could get. I know there's a lot of people out there that identify with that, but now I just started lifting to failure because I'm never going to know. And that was a huge thing for me to get to. And so it just makes it that much better. Because as I say, you never know, right? I mean, I'm lifting weights and I'm looking at my coach and he's like, I don't know why you're so surprised. And he goes, we're not. And I'm like, running around the gym excited because I just hit a PR at 5:30 in the morning. And he's just like, okay. So,
I love
and a lot of that, you had asked about the mindset, and a lot of that is mindset because it's like, I used to get, when I would go up for a lift, I used to get butterflies in my stomach, and I just, that feeling, and it's those things you do before you lift. I mean, I walk around the bar, how many times do I tighten my belt? How many times do I chalk my head? I'm being serious for a lift. And I would get up to the bar, and the mindset that had switched back in January was, I know that I'm going to get this. It wasn't a matter of, am I going to? It's, I know I just lifted that weight. I know I can get this weight. And it's about where you're focusing and what you're thinking about as you're lifting. When we did the online qualifier for the competition that I'm competing in, it was a bear complex, and it was a lot of reps that we had to go through. And I was like, for the first time ever, I don't know what happened that day, but for the first time ever, I was so focused on that. And I don't get me wrong, I heard my coaches, but I was focused on what I was doing. And that was my light bulb that went off that said, that's the focus that I need in order to lift what I want to lift. So it's that mindset shift.
Yeah, 100%. I think everybody has their little ritual or their formula that they do if they're really trying to push themselves and trying to achieve personal best. I know I did a funny video on TikTok a few months ago. I was actually like stretching a little bit, but I was kneeling over getting ready to do a deadlift, and it said, when you try to act like you're just stretching in between sets, but you're really praying to Jesus
Well,
before you go.
if you ever watch, the workout week is really intense, and it's a lot of what you put behind it. So my intensity will be different than everybody else's. But
Right.
when you hit Friday, it's just like even though Thursday was a rest day, you know that Thursday and Friday are heavier days. And I throw, when I talk about throwing fun in it, people ask me questions. It's like, you go in, you've worked hard all week long. I don't go RX every single day. Being older, your body just can't handle it sometimes. But when you have those push days, you got to back off, on some days. And that's when I throw a little fun in there. And it's funny because you dance between your sets, because if you're doing an every 2 minute, right, you're dancing between sets because you're staying loose. So that's where the dancing comes in, and it's just a little spin on getting through, because that weight's going to be heavy. It's getting through that mindset to lift that weight. And that's just a little background on when I say we're throwing some fun in there and we throw a dance in there.
I love it. So let's dive into nutrition, and how I'm going to do that is going back to how heavy you are able to lift and how strong you are. I don't think people realize how closely related that is to the fuel that you're putting in your body. People don't realize how key your nutrition is when you're trying to not only lose weight, but when you're trying to get stronger. So I think a lot of people will err on the side of, oh my gosh, not eating enough, because they just are really trying to get past that threshold of that pound loss on the scale the next day, that they're actually screwing themselves over, as you know. But, how important would you say nutrition is?
Nutrition, if you're on a weight loss journey, or even if you're building strength or your fat loss, nutrition is number one. It goes ahead of your workouts. You need that fuel, and you need to make sure that your body is fueled in order to lift that weight. You don't want to be fatigued, right? Because your body's going to be running on empty, and it's going to be pulling from the other sources in your body, right? And so you want to make sure that your body is fueled. And if you're eating too many fewer calories, yeah, you might be losing weight, but it's not sustainable. You can only sustain that for a certain amount of time. That's why when you have somebody come to you and they want to go on a cut, well, if you're already eating in a calorie deficit, you don't need a cut. You need to eat more if you want to lift heavier.
Right.
And that's sometimes where things are. Like if somebody comes to me and they said, well, I've been eating this, but I'm not losing weight and I want to get on a cut, I'm going to fuel you and I'm going to give you more. And half the time they actually start losing that weight because they're fueling their bodies properly for what they need. And
Right.
fueling is not just eating the food, it's also hydration. Hydration is huge. I mean, I ran a hydration challenge back in April, and I got to tell you, I do a lot on my stories on Instagram, and it's a lot of, hey, did you drink your water today? And it's just, but nutrition is key, and people don't realize that. Um, I'm not a big athlete that eats before I train, but I do carb load and I do have protein. So I get my caffeine through my coffee and my pre-workout, and then I put protein in my coffee because I'll be honest, some days I have trouble getting protein in, and you want to perform better, or you want the fat loss or the weight loss or body recomp or whatever that is, you want to make sure your protein levels are where they need to be at and you're hitting that protein. And then I take a carb powder, so I drink those before I hit the gym. And then I have my shake directly after, and I stay hydrated because I put water and coconut water. So then even after my workouts, I have more carbs and more protein before I actually eat my first meal in the morning.
And just to the average listener, they may be going, "Holy shit, this sounds really complicated." And
It's not.
it's not. I get it because you should hear my story. So I totally get it. I'm like, I get you, girl. But for the average listener out there, the thing I want them to realize is everything starts small. Like we didn't just wake up one day and then now we're eating like this. It's about habit stacking, like just make your goal this week, start drinking more water. Next week, start making your goal eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. The next week, start maybe doing some meal prepping. So you got to break it down. Don't get overwhelmed by what we're saying because it can be simplified. We're just hitting on the notes of it. So Cheryl, what would you say, because life is so crazy for everybody. I mean, I think we
Yep.
have so much unrealistic responsibilities every single day. It's insane. So what are some hacks or some tips that you would offer to people for keeping their nutrition on point when especially they're trying to lose weight?
I would say so. In the beginning, to get there, I'll start there. I always say, up your water, take a look at your steps, walk 1,000 or 500 more steps a day, and then change your plate from a bigger plate to a smaller plate. And I always say, don't overfill it because that's going to defeat the purpose. So if they're just wanting to start and they think that it's too overwhelming, that's where I say to start. Um, but I'm going to say meal planning or batch planning. I do batch planning, which is where I batch different proteins and different vegetables and different carbs for the week, and then I put them together in meals. And it just kind of breaks up the variety of the meal prep. But I would say number one, you got to plan it. Whatever you want to do, if you sit down and plan where you want to go, you put that plan and those steps in place, and you start following that, you're going to build that routine, and then it's become a habit. And we're all in that lifestyle, and you're living the lifestyle. But in order to start, I just got to say, plan it, prepare for it, and know that it's not going to be that overwhelming. Because I guarantee you, you write it down, right? And you're looking at it and you're going, okay, I did this, and this. It might take a little bit longer to write down, but I tell you, and I promise you, you write that down and those steps down and take 10, 15 extra minutes. It's going to help you in the long run tremendously.
100%. One of my favorite quotes is people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan.
Yes,
And, is it hard at first? Well, maybe at first, just because anytime you're doing something that's new, you're going to be in your discomfort zone. But once you get it nailed down, like I could go to the grocery store with a blindfold on, literally. Because I am really, especially eating the same stuff right now, but I do meal
right.
prep twice a week and I do very similar to what you do. I just, I'm like, okay, I'm needing this much protein per day. I need this much meat, or obviously there's other options if you're a vegan. But I just prepare it. I make half. I put the other half in the freezer. I pull it the night before, and it's just done. And it really, overall, it makes your life easier, right?
It does. It really does. And then, you go through phases. I also talk about resets because, you start a plan and you're gung ho per se because, you're like, I'm going to feel better. I know I'm going to feel better. And that first 2 weeks, I'm telling you, you get through those first 2 weeks, right? You're feeling better. You're looking better. You change your food so your body inflammation is down. People don't realize when you eat the same foods over and over again, your body's inflamed, right? And if you don't balance it right, then you're going to start feeling, oh my goodness, right? But those first 2 weeks, when you change that plan, you're going to feel so much better. You just have to remember that after those 2 weeks, and then you start building that routine and building that habit. And then you're going to say, oh my gosh, I feel, and every week into that, you're going to feel so much better. But sometimes it can get monotonous and you can get like, well, I keep doing the same thing and you know it's giving you results, but you're just like, maybe I don't want to weigh for a day, or maybe I don't want to count my macros if that's what you're doing for a day. And I always say take a day or take 2 days or take the weekend for a reset, but just be mindful in that. Be mindful in what you're doing. My three favorite things to say are hydrate, fuel, and move. Those are my three key words that I use because you want to do all those three regardless of what you're doing. But it's okay to take that reset because then it's going to let you breathe a little bit, right? And then you're going to be like, okay, I know on that Monday I'm ready to hit the ground running. And then you had that break over the weekend. They were so afraid that taking those 2 days, we're going to put them so far back, and it actually didn't. And as I always say, it helps push you forward a little bit because you just need to breathe for a minute.
Right, 100%. And when we're talking about inflammation, because you specialize in gut health, the root of disease a lot of times is stemmed in your gut, and also your weight loss issues and things like that. So, what are a couple tips you can give people if they think they're having some gut imbalances?
So there's some tests out there if you want to do that, or else you could also look up what to do for gut health. You want to start eating inflammatory foods, inflammatory spices, and that could just go with your everyday food. And maybe cut out all the foods that you might think be giving or give. You might want to cut out all the foods that are giving you a problem, or and pay attention when you're eating something. Pay attention how you feel after you're eating something.
Great
And
point.
that's going to be, but there's some gut health regimens out there that you can do. There's some supplements that you can take, but you want to make sure that that's what's going on, right? But as I say, with gut health and the menopause and the food allergies, a lot of it's all tied into the same things.
Right. You have to
Let me
sometimes it's not just one thing. You have to peel it down to find the root of it that stems out to multiple things sometimes, right?
Correct. But if you're doing gut health, take a look at your food allergies too, right? Because maybe you're bloated for gut health and you're inflamed, but it also could be something that you're eating that you might be intolerant to or allergic to and not even know it. You know, years ago, so I've been on my nutrition journey within CrossFit for about the last 8 years, um, because that's when I decided I wanted to start competing. And I'm like, oh, I really wanted the shredded arms. I want to be shredded. I want to be shredded up arms. I wanted to cut arms. But it was 8 years ago that I decided to tie in my nutrition. And so I did it. I had a nutrition coach. I dropped to the 150 pounds. I was 5'9". And I was like, if you look at those pictures now, I'm like, but I did that. And then the next year I gained 14 pounds of muscle, right? But you got to know what you're doing and you got to learn. And that's one of the other reasons why I became a nutrition coach is because back then it was, here's your macros, check in with me, let me know how you're feeling. And I'm like, and it did work, don't get me wrong. But as the years went on, it was like, well, I can eat this, this, and this for 3 days in a row and not gain weight, but it's not on my plan. So how do you do that, right? But then you started eating it and eating it and eating it, and then your weight starts going up and you don't know what's going on, but it wasn't explained. When you ask questions, it was, oh, well, we're going to have you go up bulking because you just went on a cut. And I'm just like, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? And I've been through a couple different nutrition coaches. And there was one coach who was the person who mentored me that I looked up to, when I was actually getting my second certificate in, nutrition. Um, this is where we broke down because he was up there and he was talking about the average woman and having, gut health and hormone balance and menopause. And I was like, I'm going through that same thing right now. Like, yeah, it felt like he was totally talking about me. And so Me, because I'm somebody that if I want something, I'm going to go after it and I'm going to ask questions. Well, he took me on as a client. Oh, I was so excited. Um, but at that point, I had to make the decision because he would only take me if I took the longevity and that I stopped competing and I stopped pushing myself at a higher level, which I did. But sometimes you have to do that in order to repair your body. So it took me 14 months to go through my gut health, hormone balance, menopause. I'm 52, it comes and goes. And your cycle can come and go depending on how hard you work out and where your body fat is. So you got to make sure that it's actually menopause, right? Um, so it took me 14 months to go through the whole process. I did a gut health regimen. I went through complete food allergies. We took a look at my hormones. I got I'll tell you, you want to know about quality sleep? I've got blue blocker glasses I wear at night. I cool my bedroom. I've got blackout curtains. I journal every night before I go to bed. I make sure I don't eat too close to bedtime. Um, but I had to make that decision from stop working out so hard and being that type of athlete to heal my body. And sometimes you got to pay attention to that.
Right.
You got to pay attention to take that time. As much as you want to push, you have to take that time to heal your body. And here I am, he let me compete. I don't want to say he let me, but I said I'd already registered to compete, and he says you can compete, go have fun, and I did. But I'm going to tell you that was one of the most uncomfortable years I competed because we didn't look at weight loss or fat loss. I was eating to repair my body because sometimes you got to eat all the foods to repair. But
Right.
I went through that process and now I'm on the other side. And so
Kind of food.
you got to take the time to repair your body.
I know I don't mean to interrupt you. What kind of foods were you eating to help repair your body?
I was eating a lot of anti-inflammatory foods. I cut out um, let's see. I actually had a microbiome that I was eating, which was full of vegetables and full of fiber. It's a lot of vegetables put together. I looked up a lot of the FODMAP foods because that was kind of the diet that I was on. So the anti-inflammatory foods, you've got the turmeric spices, you've got the cardamom, you've got all that stuff. Um, as far as the foods, I went back to the whole foods. I dropped anything I wasn't eating that was a whole food. I still ate the turkey, the chicken. I stayed away from red meat for a while, and then all the leafy green vegetables. So, and that's
Wow.
just kind of what I stuck to. I did eat the potatoes and the rice every once in a while, but I didn't eat it every day.
Okay. Yeah,
But you
everything.
got to find what works for you. Those are the foods that work for me. Everybody has to find. I always say, whatever message I'm delivering, I always say, you got to find what works for you.
100% because everybody's different. I think that a lot of people they just don't even come to logic things because I think we try to make everything so complicated and complex. But, if we really stop and think about it, if you're waking up and you're feeling not so great on a regular basis, maybe start taking some notes, right? Like I personally, like when I go to the gym, I put how many hours I slept the night before. I put what supplements I took that day. I put what time of day I'm working out because sometimes that affects me. I usually like to work out super early too. I get up at 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm usually at the gym
Oh
by
my
5.
God.
I'm crazy. I know. I have no life. But I sometimes go in the afternoon, or sometimes I have to do it at night. So I will write down like what time I worked out. So if people are not feeling great, I feel they should do something pretty similar, like what you're talking about, where maybe log how much hours of sleep that you actually got, how much water approximately that you drank, how much protein you got, how many times you ate that day, and just keep it simple. I mean, and it's not something that you have to do for the rest of your freaking life because that would be terrible. But I think that if you get tired enough of being tired and not feeling good, that if you take some notes and then you're seeing a common denominator along the way, then you can start peeling it down and going, you know what? Maybe I should stop eating this, or maybe this is affecting me, or wow, if I looked across for 1 week, I only got like this amount of sleep. I really got to dedicate more time to getting more quality of sleep. So I think some people just try to research everything and make it so complicated, but it really does truly come down to almost the basic things that you said, which was hydrate, fuel, move, and sleep. I think that that's the other thing, right?
And part of that is you get used to the way you're feeling and you let it go. Because
That's
you're
a
like,
great.
oh, I know this and oh, I know that. But you get comfortable in feeling that way. And then one day you wake up and you're like, oh my goodness, because it happens, you know? And that's when you start tying in your nutrition and you're like, but yes, you got to track. Like somebody will say, oh my gosh, I'm so bloated today. And I said, write down what you ate. As a matter of fact, the other day, somebody said, oh my goodness, I had a migraine the other day. And I said, well, what did you eat the day before? He goes, I get them every once in a while. And I said, mark down, I said, track what you ate the day before. And the next time it happens, the next few times, see if there's any commonalities within what you're doing. But as I say, people just go through the motions of, well, yeah, it'll go away. It happens every once in a while. Well, what if you can find what's going to stop that, right? And that's
Right.
what, like you said, to write it down and track it. So I write down what I eat. I know I eat very similar. There's not too many foods that are not that I don't eat, that I don't track. Right now, I'm actually working a program of not tracking my food, not counting my macros. It's a new thing that's out there, but I've been doing this so long that I can put meals together and I can eye things, right? And a lot of people, maybe they don't want to start because they don't want to track. Well, what if you didn't have to track your food? What if you said, I want you to eat this, this, and this many times a day? You still have to be accountable for what you're eating. You can't just throw things on a plate, right, and eat it. You still have to be accountable, but it takes that overwhelming of thinking that you have to weigh and measure every single day.
100%. And I think that the other thing, really good point that you made was, when people when they feel like crap all the time, God, I can't talk today. When they feel like crap all the time, they don't realize how good they could feel, right? So when people are like, "God,
Exactly.
how do you work out all the time?" I'm like, "How do you not?" Because, I know how much better I feel, but I think a lot of people truly think that as they age, this is just the way it is. I've gotten older, you're just tired all the time, you don't have any energy, all your body parts hurt, but a lot of it is preventable and it's based on lifestyle. So I like the point that you made about that. So, you talk a lot about hydration. So how much water do
Yeah.
you like to shoot for each day, and what do you recommend for your clients?
I drink about 70 ounces.
Okay.
I tell my clients to eat, I drink about 70 ounces and I advise my clients to drink about 70 ounces a day. And if
Yeah.
that's too much for them, then I say start, take a look at what you're drinking now, right? And then up that one or two water bottles. I do everything by a water bottle and a water bottle size. But there's another key that I want to talk about is because too often I see, and this is just opinion. This is just the one thing also that I want to talk about hydration and how important it is because I post, if you ever look at my feed, I do a lot. You can eat your hydration. You can eat foods that are high hydrated. Watermelon, cantaloupe. I mean, there are so many different fruits out there that are high hydration, right? And then you got to take a look at your water bottle size. I mean, be honest. I literally have a big water bottle. I have a middle-sized water bottle. And then I have, I drink this throughout the day, all day long, and I refill it. But sometimes if you get a big water bottle, you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, am I really going to drink that all day? But in the beginning, you're like, I'm going to drink it. No, that's all I have to drink. And then halfway through the day, it's still, three-quarters of the way full, and you're looking at it. I'm very big on different water bottle sizes. You can use electrolytes. You can do tea, decaf tea, as long as it's decaffeinated. You can drink that. That's hydration as well. I swear by coconut water and regular water and your protein drink, because you're going to drink it anyway, right? You might as well up that hydration. And then, as
Yeah.
I say, you have those foods. you have those high foods, and then you can infuse your own. I mean, there are so many recipes out there with the herbs and spices, the cucumbers and mint, strawberries and basil. So much out there that I just, there's no reason why we cannot stay hydrated.
100. I love that.
Yeah, I'm
100%.
big on hydration.
I am too. I pee so many times a day. I'm like, I wish I could get paid for how many times I pee and say the F word every day. I would be a billionaire.
Yeah. And if you notice, and one of the key things is about feeling, knowing if you're hydrated, take a look at the color your urine is. It's
Yeah,
really big. And then take a look at, how many times you do go to the bathroom a day. Are you back and forth? Are you like every couple hours? What does that look like for you, right?
right.
So,
My
yeah.
favorite
But it
thing that
all
I've been,
makes your body work. The nutrition makes your body work. The nutrition keeps you fueled to work out, right? Hydration, it cushions your joints. It's like lets you move a little bit easier. Just to break it down, a little bit better for where people to understand. When I talk about hydration, I say it helps you move a little bit better because it does. It cushions your joints and it helps you move a little bit better. Plus, if you're inflamed or whatever that may be for you, I always say drink that water. It's going to help bring that inflammation down, right? And if you eat something and your body's saying, hey, what's going on here? Maybe you ate something and your body's not agreeing with it. Keep that flushing. Or if you go out and it's a holiday weekend, or for you say, hey, I'm going to go out and have a drink every once in a while, throw in some lemon and cayenne pepper. That's going to help flush a little bit faster.
100%. I love
Absolutely.
favorite thing is I cut up two lemons and I fresh squeeze them into a my one of my little cups, and then I put mint in it because in summer
Oh,
down here
yeah.
it's so hot. So I love the lemon mint thing with ice and water. It's just so refreshing and it helps to detoxify and definitely
Yep.
hydrate. So let's talk about influence. As we go through different chapters in our lives, we meet people not by accident, I believe, and some of them leave a significant influence on the trajectory of our lives. Who would you say has
Yeah.
been one of the most influential people in your life, and why?
One of the most influential people in my life would happen to be my mentor, who's my one of my mentors who's no longer here. His name was Travis Zipper. I got my certification through the class that he was teaching. And I say that because I learned so much from him, and it made me open my eyes and look at things so differently and what others may be going through. Um, and then, as far as influence, there's a couple athletes, adaptive athletes that I have the pleasure of training with. And I'm just like, I sit there and I might say, I can't do that. And they can. And it's just a huge, they influence me every day with what I do because I'm like, oh my goodness. And so, that's a big influence for me right there.
Yeah,
Um, but I also look at the elite. I look at the elite athletes and what they do, and the older elite athletes as well. And that's just, that's a huge influence because it's like if they can do that, then I know that I have it in me to do it as well. So it's just, you know, the one specific would be Travis, but other than that, it's people who go that extra mile, who compete, people that want to get into the gym, people who want to become healthier, whatever that may be for them, right? Because are going to start influencing other people, and I love to see people start influencing other people.
yeah,
That's one of my favorite things to see.
it's
It's,
inspiring.
one of my biggest things when people come to me and they're like, I want to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, we can get you there. And it's the relationship that you build. And they influence me every day. You know what I'm saying? But I like to see them. And I like to, I like to see them and I like to see them telling me that, oh my gosh, somebody said that I influenced them because they saw me do this, this, and this.
Yeah, it makes you feel good. It fills your heart that you're serving your
Yeah, it
purpose.
does. Yeah, it does. And
So,
I've been doing this for so long that, you know, in the beginning, some of the top CrossFit athletes in my age group, I looked up to them and I was like, oh, I can do that. Like your time doing that, I can do the same thing. And, it's those little things, right? And so that's where you start watching them and you start watching them grow. And then that's what influences me is when I see people do things and they put out there, well, I was here and this is how I got here. Not one specific person, but I just love to look at the stories on where people are and how they got to where they got.
Yeah, because everybody has a story. So, I talk about with the Your Fitness Check podcast, it's not just about fitness. I always talk about the LYs, like I did in the video, trying to round up some people for my podcast. It's about the emotional, the spiritual, the financial, the physical, obviously. But it's about becoming your best self. What are 3 tips that you would give to our listeners on how they can become their best selves?
So some of the biggest things for me are number one, I set my intentions every single day. I get out, there's a time where I have a morning routine. And when I get into the kitchen and I start getting my stuff ready to go to the gym, I stop and I write down what my intentions are for the day. And I don't think about what I want to write. Whatever my thought process is as I start writing is what I do. So I would say set your intentions, set whatever you want for that day, however you're feeling. And then one of my biggest things, think of one thing positive to keep your day happy and to keep your mindset where it's at. Because a lot of times you go through things and you're like, what's going on here? So, in the mornings I do intentions. I always say, have that one thing positive to change your mindset because mindset is huge to become a better version of you, right? And a lot of times it's not what happens to you, it's how we respond to it. Because at first, if somebody tells you something, you're like, you don't know what to think about it, right? You might think to the negative side, think to the positive side and say, what is this telling me? How is this going to make me be a better version of
I
myself?
love that. You speak my
And
language.
I will tell you, yes, and I will tell you, surround yourself with like-minded people and especially people that support you. That is so huge. And I mean true people that support you, not somebody that just comes around, at times when something's going good for you. I'm talking about true support people. A lot of people that go train or go to the gym have coaches, right? You want that coach that supports you, somebody you can say, oh, I'm feeling this way. And as I tell you, my coaches are like, I don't know why. So those 3 things I would say, set your intentions daily, keep that happiness. And I will tell you, in the mornings, I do not look at anything. Like if there's very few people that I connect with in the morning because number one, I wake up from my sleep, I do my thing, I go train. Anybody that I message or talk to during that time has to be pretty special and pretty up there because I don't let anything veer my morning routine, right? Maybe you look at an email and you're like, it didn't set with you right, or somebody sent you a text and that's not what you really wanted to hear. That's not the conversation you wanted to have in the morning. I stopped all that so I knew that I was good to go. And that makes me better for myself because then I know I can focus and make me a better athlete, which is what I'm striving for.
I love
And
all.
that's huge. And then build your routine, have that routine built, you know, be confident in who you are. Be confident in who you are. Do not compare yourself to anybody else because I tell you, everybody says that, but it's very true. I am somebody that things take me a lot longer to get, even though I've been doing it longer. But once I get them, I've got them. So don't compare yourself to anybody else and be you. Be yourself. Be authentic. And if you're in a situation or something and it doesn't feel right to you or it changes who you are, walk away from it. I do a lot of spring cleaning where I say you can clean. I do a lot of spring cleaning where you spring clean things out that might not be useful or serving you or, as you say, working for you at that time. Doesn't mean you can't bring them back, but sometimes you need to clean it out. Right now we're in summertime. I'm summer clearing right now. And people don't realize that because maybe there's somebody that you've been friends with for a long time, but every time you have that conversation and you finally let that go and you can breathe easier and you're like, doesn't mean you have to stay away forever, but maybe during certain times that's just the way it is. So to become that better version, you got to be yourself, be authentic, create who you want to be. Um, Write down and journal what your thoughts are and who do you want to be like, who do you want to be?
I love all those. Those are great tips that you can immediately start to implement into your life. So, what's next for you, Cheryl? What does the next year and a half look like for you? What do you got coming your way?
So about 7 weeks ago, I was part of the corporate world for years. 7 weeks ago, I decided it was time for me to go on my own business venture. I've had my nutrition company open since 2021, and now I'm going full in. I'm creating a signature course program for my business currently right now.
Awesome.
I'm also competing in the Northern California Classic in September.
Amazing. Because
So very excited about that.
you're in San Jose,
It's
California.
in, yeah, it'll be in Granite Bay this year.
Okay.
I know the two guys that put it on, and when I compete, it's about everybody. It's about the community. It's like we see each other every competition, but it's like you lose no ground. It's like you talk to each other like you know how you like you've seen each other almost every day, and it's just the community. It's the time. It's who you get to spend time with, and it's the workouts and just getting to be around, everybody that you like to be around. So I'll be competing in the Northern California Classic. It's a 3-day competition. It's in September from the 6th to the 8th. Um, and I absolutely love it. It's the community. You meet different people every single year. You compete against some of the same people every single year. The two guys that put it on do a phenomenal job with it. It's actually getting bigger and bigger every year. So definitely, that's the biggest competition I do of the year, and it's so fun.
Wow.
And that's what's next for me. So yeah,
You've got a lot
definitely looking forward to it.
way. Well, I'll make sure that I put how people can get in contact with you in the show notes. I thank you so much for sharing all of your valuable information with everybody. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that people will take away from this. So thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Your Fitness Chick podcast. As always, I'm here to inspire, uplift, educate, and motivate you to become your best self. Hey, it's Abby, your fitness chick. Thanks for checking out today's episode. With your continued support, I can keep creating inspiring episodes just like this one. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. To stay motivated all week long, be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. The links for those can be found in the show notes. Check out my website by visiting www.yourfitnesschick.com. And I'd like to thank my production company, Coraggio Media, but most of all you, my listeners, for helping to inspire me each and every day. I'll see you on the next episode.